So what is a mentor in the reptile community? What's up, YouTube? So actually today's video is going to be about mentorship. So if you are just getting into reptiles, if you're just getting into breeding, if you're just wanting to know what the process is because you don't know, and YouTube videos obviously answer a lot of questions, but it doesn't hurt to have someone that's in there every day doing the breeding, doing the genetics, doing everything else to explain to you what you have to do if you want to get into breeding. So obviously I make a lot of YouTube videos, which means that I have a lot of knowledge. And I'm not going to say I'm the most knowledgeable person, but I've had enough experience to know that what I'm doing is pretty accurate to what everyone should be doing. So I have been a mentor to a lot of people over the years, and some people appreciate what I do and what I teach them, and some people, once they learn enough, they throw me to the side of the road like trash, and that's just how it goes. And it doesn't bother me too much, but it does bother me whenever you start slandering my name, and it does bother me whenever you start telling people that I'm breeding unhealthy dragons or my dragons aren't growing or something like that. So if you follow me on social media, you would have seen my post about someone that I was mentoring, and he's been, I think it was August 2021 or 2020 or something like that. I don't remember exactly. So this individual that I've been mentoring for quite some time, I've helped him buy bearded dragons. I've helped him talk it through with genetics. I've helped him talk through a lot of breeding programs, a lot of breeding plans that he's had. And I would say that the first year he bred, which was last year, he probably bred, I don't know, maybe 4, maybe 6 or something clutches or something like that, or pairs. And about 75%, if not close to all of them, were babies that I produced that he grew up and paired. So for him to say that my dragons don't grow, that's a little crazy because he used them to breed. So obviously if they weren't growing, they wouldn't be breeding either. Unless if he was breeding them even though they weren't growing, then that means he's an unethical breeder himself and probably shouldn't be breeding either way. But I know for a fact those dragons were growing, and I didn't sell him anything that wasn't growing to begin with. So in this particular situation, I'll get to why mentors work and why they don't work and stuff like that. But I want to give you this example to also tell you, if you are experiencing some problems with your collection, don't blame it on anyone else. It's probably something that you're doing wrong that you should probably fix and figure out what that is first. So don't blame anyone else for issues that you're having just because you're unhappy with your situation. That's pretty fucked up. I wouldn't do that to anyone. I have had dragons that passed away. I've had dragons not grow. I've had dragons getting unhealthy shortly after I've got them. And I've never blamed anyone for the dragons being unhealthy unless I can 100%, 120% pinpoint that the reason they were unhealthy was because of breeding practices. If you can't do that, don't blame anyone for what you are experiencing. So in this particular situation with this person, he posted on Facebook saying that there was a dragon that he was selling. It was a hypotransdunner, had 0 possible het wiblets that wasn't growing right. This dragon turned 12 months April 11th. So it was just a year old on April 11th. I commented back saying that dragon doesn't look small. And he said that dragon was 230 grams 2 months ago, and now it's 215 grams. And he is practically saying, I produced it, it's growing too slow, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. It's not even 12 months old. At the time he made that post, it wasn't even 12 months old. It was only like, it was like a week away from turning a year old. And I was like, so 2 months ago it was 230 grams. This month is 215 grams. And you're saying that I'm at fault for this dragon not growing? For 2 months, it hasn't done anything but lose weight, but I'm the one at fault. And you've had that dragon since it was at least 2 months old. So you're telling me that for 10 months, this dragon grew up to 230 grams. Or no. For 8 months, this dragon grew up to 230 grams. And for 2 months, it lowered down to 215. and I'm the one at fault. It sounds like he's not taking care of his dragon very, very well. But no, he wants to blame everyone else for his problems because that's what babies do. That's what children do, right? That's what children do. They blame everyone else for situations, for problems that they're having. Grown-ups figure out what's going on in their problem, figure out what solutions they could have to the problem that they're facing. That's what grown-ups do. But this particular person didn't do that. So if you are experiencing problems in your collection, don't blame anyone else because it's probably something that you're doing wrong. And in that situation, 100%, 120%, 150%, 200%, this is something that he was doing wrong because dragons aren't supposed to lose weight like that. That's all I got to say. Also, dragons aren't full grown till about 18 months, and that dragon was growing just fine. So at 8 months, it was 230 grams. That's a good growing dragon. If it's not supposed to be full grown, which is about 400 grams, some of them get bigger, some of them get smaller, but about 400 grams is average. If it's not supposed to be 400 grams by the time it's 18 months, and by the time it was 8 months, it was already 230 grams, I'd say that dragon was growing just fine, and that person didn't know what they were doing. But that's besides the point. What is a mentor? A mentor is someone that's going to help you do everything that you want to do in your collection. So whether you want to grow your collection or whether you want to look at your collection to see what needs to be changed, that is what a mentor is going to help you with. So if you find yourself a mentor, so this has to be someone that you agree with everything that they're doing. You've been watching them for a while. You've been maybe you've bought dragons from them and you like the way those dragons grow or the snakes grow if you're looking for a mentor in ball pythons. This is someone that you're going to be hopefully getting pointers from for a long time, whether it be 2 years, 3 years, forever. I mean, this is someone that's probably going to, there's not going to be any gain in them helping you, and the only person benefiting from the mentorship is yourself because you're the one getting mentored. So the other thing you want to look for in a mentor is someone that is willing, because there is a lot of people out there that have experienced just what I've just mentioned, that someone complain about their mentoring and all of the things that they've done for them. And that person, once they've experienced something like that, they're not going to be prone to mentoring anyone anymore because they've already had a bad experience mentoring someone. I've never had a bad experience like that. And to be honest, it was kind of disgusting. It disgusted me. So the thing that happened after that exchange in comments on Facebook, he calls me and he practically tells me to stay off his Facebook page, don't comment on his stuff, that I'm selling him unhealthy dragons and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even have these dragons because I'm the one that helped you get them. It's besides the point. So mentorship. After you found your mentor, the things that you want to figure out about your collection is, have you grown this collection well enough to actually perform for you? Which means, are the pairs that you have planned, are they going to be able to produce things that are actually worth producing? And that's what a mentor is going to look at that. And they're going to say, oh, these two dragons that you got, or these two snakes that you got, when you pair them together, they're not going to produce anything worthwhile. I would scrap that pairing, try to figure out something else for those dragons or those snakes. And if all else fails, you might have to sell them and buy something else. So that's what a mentor is going to do. A mentor is also going to try to help you figure out the genetics, because some people, when they get into this, they think they learned everything they needed to learn about genetics. And I've noticed that even though people have been learning about genetics and doing this and doing that for whoever knows how long, I've had people tell me 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 1 year, whatever, and they still tell me incorrect information. And that's because it doesn't matter how much you know or how much you think you know. Experience is way more knowledgeable than just reading something online. So when you've experienced genetics, when you've experienced breeding, when you've experienced all that stuff, then you will actually understand what it is that is genetics, right? What are the morphs that are going to play into, what are the dominant morphs, what are the recessive morphs, are colors morphs, stuff like that. All that stuff is going to be from experience. It's not going to be from you just reading online and getting on a Facebook group and asking questions. That's not, while that may help, it's not going to be entirely what you get your knowledge from. So that's what a mentor is going to help you with. So it's going to help. They're going to help you with your collection, figuring out if it's an actual good collection or if it needs to be scrapped. They're going to help you with genetics. They're going to help you with your pairings. And again, this is not going to be any benefit to the mentor. It's going to be only a benefit to the mentored. Okay, so yourself that you are getting mentored, you're going to be the only one benefiting from this whole process, this whole relationship. This is not a symbiotic relationship. This is 100% one-sided. So when you get mad about your mentor not teaching you things the way you want to be taught, that's on you. Find a different mentor, because that first thing I said is find someone that you agree with, find someone that you actually like what they're producing, find someone that you bought from, because all of that could dictate if this person is a good mentor or not, or if they're going to be a good mentor. Because if you've never bought anything from them, most likely you're not going to know if they are producing quality stuff. If you've never watched them or followed them on social media or whatever, you're not going to know if they're producing quality stuff. You're not going to know if they know what they're doing. So that's why it's important to first, before you decide someone you want to mentor you, first you got to do all that. So the mentors that I've had the whole time, I haven't had per se a whole lot of mentors. I've had some people that have been there to give me guidance. It's not necessarily they've been there mentoring me throughout the whole thing. It's just to give me guidance. So when I first started this reptile stuff, I was working at a pet store. I had no guidance. The information you get at pet stores is always, I would say, like 75% incorrect. They're not telling you enough about genetics. They're not telling you about enough about growth and all of that. And if you go to PetSmart, they got those little placards there that tell you, oh, they can grow for 15 years or blah, 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 and all that crap. That's incorrect too. I mean, that's the worst information I've ever seen in my life about half the reptiles. So 1 second, I got a female trying to dig over there, so I'm gonna put her in the lay bin. All right, so that's practically the mentor. I mean, there's not much more I can tell you about mentorship. Just make sure you find someone that you actually agree with their stuff, with the things that they're doing. Don't get mad at your mentor. They're literally sitting there wasting their time to help you. I mean, they're not getting anything from it. So what is the purpose of getting mad because they're not telling you something that you want to hear? So as I mentioned, I haven't really had a mentor per se. I just had people give me guidance. So that's just the way I've done it, mainly because I started off knowing a little bit about care, and I enjoy biology, so I actually paid attention in school when they were talking about genetics. So whenever I learned enough about genetics to know which ones were recessive and which ones were dominant, I knew for a fact that it was easy. Like, that was it. So it took me probably a year of trying to figure all that out before I started breeding my bearded dragons. And the collection that I had at the moment, it was just mainly hypo stuff because I didn't even know other genetics existed. And at the time, this was 2013, 2012, something like that, when I first started breeding. And yeah, I didn't even know translucent exists. I only knew that there was hypo. I didn't know that translucent existed. And I didn't have ball pythons back then because my parents didn't let me have ball pythons. I was only, what was that, 11 years ago? Oh man, I don't know. 17? 16? Yeah, I'm 28 this year. I turned 28 this year. That's crazy. I know you guys are like, only 28? Dude, you're young. I feel old, man. I feel very old. I got 2 kids. When you got 2 kids, kids age you. Kids age you very fast. I was 17, 16 years old when I started breeding. And yeah, my parents didn't let me have ball pythons. It was just mainly bearded dragons. I had fish. I've had fish all the way from the time before I started working at a pet store all the way to this. Yeah, this year was the year I got rid of my 180-gallon fish tank, and it was bittersweet, but it was meant to be. It was taking up a lot of space, and I just didn't have time for it anymore. But that's besides the point. I don't know where I was going. Yeah, so that's it. That's the thing about mentors. Just don't respect your mentors. I don't know why anybody would think that they don't have to respect their mentor, because as I mentioned, they have no benefit from this. This is a one-sided relationship. You're the only one gaining from it. Why would you get mad at your mentor? Why not try to understand where they're coming from? Why not try to understand what they're saying before you get mad? So as always, I appreciate if you made it this far into the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything that I put out in the future. As always,